from our panelists and from our I'll just run through our agenda for today. Theme for today's session is market trends and agri-food opportunities in Central Africa, identifying profitable pathway for growth for your individual businesses and for Central Africa as a whole. Running through our agenda for today, we'll be having our welcome and introduction from every of the audience that we have on this call currently, and for those that also be joining us. Then we'll have a brief and overview about African food chain makers, what we do, how we do what we do, and what is our passion driving us to do what we are currently doing. Then we'll go over to our keynote speech from our keynote speaker. Then we'll go to AFC program impact and membership feedback. And then we also go to have application drives for our respective program at African food chain makers. Then we dive into the panel session that we have for you today. So once again, I want you to introduce yourself on the chat box. For as many of us that are currently on this call, let us know your name, where you are joining us from, and your agribusiness. And I will gladly acknowledge us as we're dropping our chat on the box. So please let's know where you're joining us from, your name, your location, your country, and then your agribusiness. I await our response on the chat box. I'm here to receive any response from anyone. Can you confirm that you can hear me, please? So that I don't, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing Guy Kama from Union de Femmes Africaines. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Pardon my French. I'm not fluent in French, so pardon me for that. So I'm looking to introduce some other persons that are currently on the call. Looking at the nexus of NBS and food system from Switzerland. That's from Mr. Nicholas. Good morning from Kai, from Williams Hyper Farm. Hyper. I want to believe you're also hyper. All right. I want to take two more persons. Please introduce yourself, your name. Okay, we have Terence from Zambia. Thank you, Dr. Terence. We also have Joan from Kivu Spices, DRC, that's Republic of Congo. Thank you very much for joining. Without wasting much of our time, for as many that are still joining, please, you can just drop your introduction on the chat box. One of the essence of programs like these, sessions like this, you get to connect with like minds, people from your country that you guys are both in the same value chain. And then from there, you could get to go on to bring about innovative solutions, right, that will change the landscape itself. So please, let's do well to introduce ourselves on the chat box. At this point, I will want to pass over the virtual mic to our program manager at African Food Chain Makers, who will tell us more about African Food Chain Makers. So over to you, Ruth. All right, apologies for that little break. She's trying to unmute herself, so just give us a few seconds. Okay, I think you're good to go now. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Adonaya, for that introduction. Thank you for to all our participants for all your introductions. Let's keep the energy coming. We have this webinar is strictly for you, and so we packaged it especially for you. And so we want to feel your energy. We are really counting on the energy you bring into the room today. So good day, everyone. Welcome to our welcome. I want to say a big welcome to our panelists, our keynote speakers, and our participants. Right here, I'll just delve into who we are at Africa Food Change Makers, because this webinar is hosted by Africa Food Change Makers, and we're a team of enablers committed to nourishing Africa and reshaping global narratives. So at AFC, we understand that small and medium-scale enterprises are the lifeblood of the food ecosystem. So that's why our primary focus is to empower visionary, dynamic, and innovative entrepreneurs who play diverse roles across the agri-food value chain, entrepreneurs that we call change makers. We know they are faced with diverse challenges, especially in Africa, challenges and risks, both to their social economic states, their environment. These change makers, they need funding. We recognize that. That is where we come in. You need funding, you need training, you need visibility, you need market linkages, and a community of support to successfully scale your business as an SME or as a change maker, as we call you. That's where we fully come in. Our mission is through these ways to enable African entrepreneurs to start and scale resilient and sustainable businesses that nourish Africa and also the world by providing the essential support in the form of training, funding opportunities, exposure to trade linkages, and fostering a vibrant community of change makers. Our vision is to see 1 million successful and sustainable African agribusinesses that are transforming the food ecosystem and are recognized and respected across the globe. So what do? We have a community that provides a platform where African agri-food entrepreneurs will partner together, develop collaborative models, and engage in peer-to-peer support. We have learnings and trainings where AFC offers tailored and relevant training programs and convenings for agri-food entrepreneurs across Africa, partnering with relevant organizations to build resilient, successful, and sustainable green businesses with regional and global impact and relevance. One of such learnings and one of such platforms is this Agrifood Webinar, where we're gathering people together to bring in the training and the knowledge needed for us to achieve our objective. We also have data and opportunities. We also provide data and opportunities as a digital one-stop shop where agri-food entrepreneurs and stakeholders in the sector can access critical data, funding opportunities, partnerships, industry events, trade information, and other resources. Finally, we have visibility and recognition, partnerships, processes, and initiatives. So through those strategic partnerships we have with different organizations, we provide creative storytelling and actively promote awareness about Africa's contributions to the global food ecosystem, its culinary heritage, and exciting future. We do that through documentaries, through our podcasts, and through different means, just to change the narrative about nourishing Africa. So whether you're a primary producer, an aggregator, a processor, a distributor, input or equipment provider, we have got you covered at AFC. Even if you're a logistics and finance expert, a technology innovator, an agribusiness consultant, or a stomach infrastructure consultant, aka chef or cook, we have got you covered. No matter where you are or who you are across continents and within the agri-food value chain or value web, as we have come to understand that it is, we are committed to fostering the growth, the resilience, and sustainability of your agri-food business. We firmly believe that by enabling change makers like you on this platform, we can contribute significantly to the transformation of the African food landscape. If you're part of our community, thank you for your part in exploring together how we can make a lasting impact on the agri-food sector. If you are yet to join us, don't miss a beat. Join us on this exciting journey as we delve into stories, insights, and strategies of these remarkable individuals we have on our panel and in our program today who are shaping the future of food in Africa. So at this juncture, it's my pleasure to introduce our fourth Agri-Food Webinar series keynote speaker, Jose Carlos Santos, the founder of Acelera Angola, which is the leading incubator and accelerator in the SABC entrepreneurship ecosystem. It specializes in providing tailored solutions and programs to empower SMEs and startups on their path to sustainability. Committed to driving innovation, they actively engage companies and organizations, transforming ideas into impactful realities. At Acelera Angola, they redefine the future narrative for a more sustainable and prosperous economic landscape, fostering collaboration and lasting business success. Please put a digital hand clap as we welcome as our keynote speaker for our fourth agribusiness webinar series focused on Central Africa, Jose Santos. It's a pleasure to have you, Jose. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ruth, for the introduction. I feel very happy to be here and to be able to share with like-minded people, and not only that, with organizations that are pushing forward our continent. And not only, we're looking at a sector that is vital for most of the economies in Central Africa. And I would touch base more into the world, because we can really be food producers for experts, but focusing on us, on the region. I would say Acelera Angola, just to make a little introduction about Acelera as well. We have been working since 2018. We're now in Angola, Namibia, Santo-Me, and making more expansion this year to new markets, especially on the neighboring countries. But here, what we do is really support 5 verticals, and one of them is into agro. I myself, I'm an agropreneur. I wouldn't say agropreneur. I'm more into the findings on going to the agro with no background before, but just pushing on the knowledge and just finding, out of curiosity, how beautiful this sector is. So taking it from the region, I think we have some opportunities, but also challenges, going from food security, food production, transformation, climate, local markets, and heavily increase on demand, especially because we have, a population growth and an income growth. But there is an opportunity to innovate and to do better, especially with the best practices that we can learn from each other on talks and on events and on spaces like this, because there will be a spike or a population increase, especially in the region. We're speaking about by 2050, more than 712 million people will be living on this region. They need to eat every day. They need to produce every day. And they need to be aware that this is coming, okay? 2050 is around the corner. So we don't have much time to really transform the minds and to put people working. Just so you can have an idea, we at the moment have 363 million. So we're gonna double the population that we have within the region. Most of this population are driving to the urban areas. So by 2030, more than 51% of these people will be living on urban areas, meaning a slower growth on rural areas, and people who have taken agriculture as their job, as a way of survival, as a way to really produce and engage. And more than this, most of our population within the region, and this is something that we need to be aware of, are under 15. So we're speaking about more than 50% of the population on these countries are below a age to be workforce or labor to what we need to really produce. Obviously, technology and mechanization and even innovating on manufacturing can help, but it won't support the need or the amount of people that we actually need to engage on this sector. Um, Another thing that I wanted to mention, and I don't want to scare anyone with the data because I believe there is an upside or a huge opportunity on the market. I would say that the temperatures are increasing because we're dealing with climate change and climate effects that come from the production and from the activities that we also do in the region. So if we want to have productive land, and if we want to have a great offtake on what we do, we need to take care of our regions, and we need to take care of our land, and we need to teach people a way of sustainability. For Angola, where we mostly work and where Asleta is mostly positioned, so out of 57 million hectares, of land, of potential land to be produced, we only produce 5 million. We have an amount of water resources that are not being utilized for this, and potentially, like Congo, both Congos and the countries that we're mentioning, especially Angola, we have an amount of water resources that can sustain this. Out of this, we already cultivate a lot of the land. So in terms of output of production, we are, ranked 9th in the world in cassava production, which is a big basis of what we eat in terms of food habits that we need to change, but we need to introduce even on nutrition, better food to the people, okay? Because when you're going young, I mean, if you're getting a child until the second year of their life, if they're not well fed, if they're not taken care of on this perspective, I mean, we're squandering a lot of the intellectual and intelligence potential, and even, productivity that we can get out of this population. So I was mentioning, like, in terms of production, we produce a lot of cassava, a lot of bananas. We're the 7th largest in the world in terms of banana production. Out of humbleness, I believe we can do more than this, because we're not even tapping in to the regions that have the potential to produce banana, as the Bengala region and the Wambo region, mostly, and the Kwanza Sul region, who are rich in water and soils that can potentially produce this. But we now have an upside to link the region with the Lobito Corridor Railway, which begins in Angola. It's 1,300 kilometers. It's going to link Congo and Zambia with an additional 800 kilometers, who have been financed by DFC, the US, and then we're linking to DRC as well. So we're speaking about 3,000 kilometers of agricultural land, who can potentially be set up to have a lot of the cold chains, food processing, and local value-added manufacturing. But out of this corridor as well, we're able to move goods, commerce, people, and link the countries. So this is a huge project for Angola, and I believe for the region. But more than this, I believe we need to share more knowledge. So most of the things that we go and seek for and go sought after are not similar to us. So we're getting we're not pushing away the knowledge that can come from abroad, but what we're saying is that we can learn so much from the neighboring countries on best practices, on getting together, even for commerce, and to seek the opportunities who are just on the next door. That this has the potential to really, transform what we're saying that might be a negative position that we have now to a really great position in a few years. Just to add, more than the Lobito corridor, we have the Namib corridor and the Malange corridor, the Malange more into the DRC, Congo, Gabon region, who are going to be linked by railways and roads as well. So the better infrastructure into place as well will potentially give a better change into commerce. For the trends, I would say we're going to see a spike, or we're going to see an increase on more investment, more young people moving into the agricultural field. And this gives an opportunity, especially with the digital upside that the region has in terms of mobile users growth, telecommunications growth, and infrastructure, to really introduce innovation and really introduce other things into the farming that we're not able to do until now, even on the rural side. And then more about the open borders in terms of what the region can do. We already have into place agreements within the region for tax exemptions. I know for a fact that we're still very protective about what we produce and not letting, the neighbors come in with things that we already have on surplus. But I believe with transformation and the quality coming, these things are going to be, not an issue for the future. Obviously, policy plays a huge part into what I'm mentioning now. But in terms of potential, when we're speaking about untappering, 10% of arable land is being produced. And out of the active population, at least in Angola, and for the region, for the data that I studied before the talks, most of the population is into local production, or smallholder farmers or families working on the fields. We have a huge potential and a huge upside of opportunities. So leading to my intro, just ending, I would like to thank everyone listening to this, especially the ones, and I was speaking to Ruth before the call, that most of the people that I was speaking today are in the farm field or in the farms, which is a great, signal that we're really moving forward and really pushing for a different region, a different Africa, and especially a different mindset when it comes to us catering for the things that we need in the future, especially on quality products, food, and everything else. So thank you so much, and hopefully we have great talks coming after. Hopefully after this we can connect even more and do more things together. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose. Thank you very much for your talk, talking about all the opportunities that are available in spite of the data that seems to be a disadvantage. I know that we can always use disadvantages to our advantage, and there are lots of opportunities you've listed, and I'm sure by the end of today's panel, we'll be able to get ideas on how to overcome some of those challenges. Please, would like to implore our participants, you can drop your comments. If you can drop them even in your local language, that's fine. We'll find a way to translate it and still get it across, because we understand that
there are different languages. So you can actually drop them in French you want, in Portuguese, whatever language you are comfortable with. Please drop your comments. We'll try as much as possible to um, bring our ideas and across in a way that you can participate effectively and join us in this conversation. So I'll be handing over back to our moderator to give us some information on some of our programs, because during our keynote, Jose actually talked about being able to protect the environment, understanding that the temperatures are increasing and all that. We have a lot of programs where we address this, where we help our entrepreneurs to understand the impact of practices on the land, the impact of practices on every other thing that impacts them. And so my colleague will be talking about those programs and also showing us some testimonials that would help us understand some of what we do. Odunayo, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much, and it's good to be back once again. Thank you, Jose, for that keynote speech, and thank you, Ruth, also. So going into the testimonial for our programs, first will be on the scaling export program. So we call that scaling export program because it's focused on helping agri SMEs like you and I to tap into the export market itself. So how can you add value to your produce to ensure that they are accepted in international markets, and you could also get some values and profit for your business. So we'll be playing the testimonial from one of the participants for the last year cohorts who would be sharing our life experience concerning the program. So over to you. Can we have the video? Can we have the video? Have the video. All right, so while the video is trying to come on, so that would apologies for that little delay, technological delay. Okay, so the video is live. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Usman Imana from Friska Farms Limited. We are an agribusiness manufacturer on a mission to providing sustainable and affordable solutions to nutrition, health, and wellness. We do this through 3 lines of products: herbal teas, baby cereal, and a line of snacks. I'm here at the Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Cairo, Egypt. Displaying with other African entrepreneurs. I'm a member of the SCP under the Africa Food Chain Makers, and looking forward to good sales and pushing our products across Africa and beyond Africa.
Vivian from Macaroons Dates. We process dates into various delicious products like our date powder, our date biscuits, our date syrup, our date granola. So we're right here at the Inter-Africa Trade Fair 2023 happening in Egypt, Cairo. We're members of the African Food Change Makers, and we're so glad to be a part of that lovely community. We're currently going through the Scaling Export Program. It's been a beautiful, insightful learning experience, and we're looking to export across Africa and the world.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muhammad Denjuma Yakub, the CEO of Yakdan Agro Venture Services. Actually, I'm delighted to be part of this program because having attended the virtual training, I was able to learn about the climate smart agriculture from module 1 to the last module for 6 weeks. Actually, I was impressed having this virtual session, and when I got the information concerning the study to visit, it made me to be happy to at least meet new people and collaborate to see how I will put my my enterprise ahead. Actually, I'm a cassava processor. Today, I was able to see 4 new varieties released by ITA. In fact, I give glory to ITA based on these cassava varieties, and not leaving behind the AFC, that's African Food Chain Makers, who initiated this in connection to the brace to brighten up my knowledge.
Okay, my name is Adoma Priska Ezimo. I'm a doctor of veterinary medicine. It has been amazing so far. Coming in contact with the African Food Chain Makers and the brace program. It has been a whole world of exposure. For the first time, I am being exposed to the concept of climate smart agriculture. My business is focused on meat processing and meat inspection at Dr. Omar's Meat Shop. That's what we do. And having to know that some of our processes may dangerously affect the climate is something that, triggered a wake-up call. And then AFC didn't just stop at a virtual program. We are here for a study visit to actually see these things being practicalized. It's amazing. And I'll say kudos to African Food Chain Makers. Thank you for wanting to change the narrative of agriculture and the whole, production chain in Nigeria.
Thank you for that. That's a testimonial from our participants from the Building Resilience Against Climate and Environmental Shocks program, which was implemented last year by African Food Chain Makers. And we had over 500 participants that was trained on climate smart agricultural practices, how they could adopt some of these practices to ensure they're able to transition from their regular businesses to a sustainable one itself. And a good news about this program is that this year, we'll be having the program also in French translation. So we'll be able to accommodate those of us that are speaking in French for this particular program. So I want us to watch the testimonial on the last program, which is Leading African Women in Food Fellowship. All right.
The Leading African Women in Food Fellowship program is an annual 6-month program that identifies outstanding female disruptors, ecosystem enablers, entrepreneurs, policymakers, chefs, trendsetters, and storytellers in the African food ecosystem, and provides them with training, mentorship, visibility, and a community of support to advance their work and enhance their impact.
Such an important program and bringing women change makers from across the continent together.
For the past 6-7 months that we have been with the fellowship, we've had a series of industry experts. These are busy people that took their time to get to know us, to understand what we do.
The fellowship serves as a transformative platform that catalyzes positive change, fostering a resilient and inclusive food ecosystem led by these exceptional female leaders.
We get a lot of applications, apply for this, apply for that, but I have never been in an actual food program where it's just food system.
Before I joined LAF, I was thinking small, dreaming.
You know, dynamic woman making an outstanding Africa agriculture landscape nominated.
You know, in the midst of many no's, when a little light. So when I was accepted into the LAF program, it was like a big yes, not just a small yes. It was a big yes for me. Yes, someone somewhere appreciates what you're doing.
I think this is the start of something amazing and big, and it has so much potential. And I'm looking forward to more and more cohorts that will build this into an amazing network of women doing amazing things. I see this being a platform for African women to truly find their voice and connect with other women in the same sphere.
For more information on how to nominate, visit our website at www.lof.afchub.org.
Thank you for that feedback. So I'll be sharing my screen now so we can continue with the session. But before then, I would like to just inform us that these programs, though we implemented them last year, but currently we also have them running for this year already. We have the BRACE program application, which is currently ongoing for people who are interested in learning more about climate smart agricultural practices and also want to be able to transition their businesses, adopt some of these practices. And then we also have the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship application currently ongoing too. So if you know any outstanding women that is doing any great work in the agricultural landscape itself, please nominate them for this award. Last year we had some fellows from Central Africa that were part of our fellows and went to Tanzania for the AGRN Summit. So if you also have someone that you want to be recognized to, please send in your application, their nomination, and they will do a thorough screening for the application. At this point, I would want to pass over the virtual mics once again to my program manager who will be leading the panelist session for us. Over to you.
People are joining us from Chad, people are joining us from Angola, joining us from different countries in Central Africa, and we're happy to be hosting this session today. And we know that there's a lot of insight that will be going out. I was trying to confirm if all our panelists are in the house yet. I know there's been some challenges, with panelists having to be in between cities, traveling in the farm, but we're still hoping that they can join us sometime in the process. So today we're going to be talking about market trends and agri-food opportunities in Central Africa, identifying profitable pathways for growth. So Jose, Carlos has already shared some very good insights on the opportunities that are available and the things that we can do. And we are hoping that entrepreneurs who are in on these series will be able to gain insights, understand the things that they can do to actually leverage the opportunities that are available. So right now, I'm going to be welcoming our panelists because we have 3 panelists for the day. And we're hoping that as we read out their profiles, they would find time and the opportunity to join us. But we'll keep the conversation going because we know there are other participants as well who have ideas to share. So I'll start with our first panelist, Pascal Niyitegeka, Program Manager of CARE International. He is a program manager for women's economic and climate justice for CARE International. He supports programs that build a resilient, sustainable, gender equitable, and inclusive entrepreneurial environment that increases dignified and fulfilling work opportunities for predominantly female youth in agricultural value chains, as well as contributing to resilient food systems and improved food and nutrition security in collaboration with key actors across agricultural transformation ecosystems. He has more than 14 years of practical experience serving in the public, private sector, and civil society institutions in collaboration with government. Pascal is a strong collaborator and team player and has been working with teams to establish and maintain strategic collaboration successfully with key government institutions, INGOs, CSOs, private sector institutions, and other development partners. Welcome, Pascal Niyitegeka, to our panel. Our second panelist is Soha Nasser. She's the co-founder of Acelera Agro. We've heard from the founder of Acelera, Jose, and she is a co-founder covering the agri-food part of Acelera, the Acelera company. So she's an agri-food innovation expert and managing partner of Acelera Agro with over 9 years of experience in innovation in the agri-food sector. As a food processing engineer, she has chosen to specialize in innovation. Soha has a diverse background in leading R&D, and quality departments in different industries. Beyond her corporate journey, Soha is dedicated to coaching and mentoring startups in the agri-food sector, managing innovation programs, and delivering workshops on ideation, validation, and design thinking. In the past 3 years, she has mentored 100+ startups, managed 4 innovation programs, and delivered and facilitated over 20 workshops, showcasing her commitment to fostering innovation and driving positive change in the industry. So welcome Soha Nasa to our panel. Our third panelist is Felisberto Kapamba. He's the director of Habitech. He is also, he studied at Wharton Executive Education, studied at Opera. He lives in Luanda, Angola, and he's from Huambo. Let's put our hands together for our panelists and welcome them to our panel session today. Odunayo, I need to confirm who is in on the panel so I'll know who to direct my questions to. On the digital platform, we're not face-to-face, so sometimes we have to confirm that our participants are with us. So kindly confirm who is on the panel. Soha, are you there?
Yeah, we already have Soha
Okay,
and Pascal.
Soha.
And Pascal.
Soha and Pascal, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to be starting with you, Pascal. Just a little question to get the conversation going on. With your experience in market systems, development, and activities at CARE, how have recent market trends in Central Africa influenced opportunities in the agri-food sector? And what is the implication for agribusinesses in the region? Pascal, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And hi, everyone.
Hi, Pascal. You're welcome.
Thank you. So thank you for the question. I think before I answer to this question, maybe we have some people with us who don't know much about CARE. CARE is an international confederation of 70 member partners, and we are working with different stakeholders delivering long-term international development projects across the globe. And we are operating in Rwanda since 1984. And we've been a partner to the development of the country, working with the different stakeholders in the private sector, government, civil society organizations, research centers, and many other stakeholders across different ecosystems. So, and we are currently working with our partners to support our program participants. Our current strategy is targeting to enable 1.5 women and girls aged between 10 and 59 to graduate out of poverty and position themselves in the green private-led economy while enjoying the equal rights, voice, leadership, and opportunities. And that's by 2025. So to answer to your question, I would start with highlighting some of the trends that most of you are aware of. We have some positive trends as well as some of the negative trends, and both present a number of opportunities. First, I will start with the strong political will that is observed across the region, across the continent, and this translates into favorable policies and innovative programs. And these are also inspired by global, continental, and national strategies, including agricultural transformation strategy. And here you all know about the SDGs, different goals, Africa's Agenda 2063, with very interesting aspirations about improving the standard of living, but also promoting modern agriculture for increased productivity. And another interesting trend is that we are observing the private sector taking the lead for economic development. And we believe that a well-functioning private sector helps to drive farmers and businesses into a cycle of commercial growth and investments. We are seeing trends in terms of unlocking markets, domestic, regional, and international markets, and different countries are leveraging continental and regional integration, regional trade blocks, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and throughout this, agriculture is a potential and a growing sector. However, we've been also experiencing, seeing some trends that are seen as challenges. You are seeing the global fertilizer prices increasing significantly as uncertainties on production volumes, and this is linked to increase in the prices of inputs, whether we talk about fertilizers, fuel, electricity, pesticides, labor costs, climate hazards, which is another trend. We've been experiencing some drought, floods in many areas. We have the basic food commodity prices also remaining high due to different issues, wars, insecurity, the cost of inputs I've mentioned. And we are seeing the region also facing food crisis in recent years, and some of the systemic constraints in access to finance and markets. So all of this, I can't forget the huge gender gaps, because CARE as a gender justice organization, we pay much attention to the issues brought about by the harmful gender and social norms. And here we can also talk about the limited engagement of potential segments of the population, which is mainly youth. So how did these trends inform our work? CARE has been investing a lot in learning and adapting our program strategies and approaches to addressing these issues. For example, we are now in Rwanda. We have some programs. One is funded by MasterCard. Another one is a new funded project, and we are implementing these programs to address the issues that I've mentioned, informed by these global and continental and regional trends. We are implementing these programs, engaging youth in agriculture, ensuring that we are building a resilient, sustainable, gender equitable, and inclusive entrepreneurial environment that increases dignified and fulfilling work opportunities for these young people. And here we are talking mainly about female. And we have some proven models that have been really working to support the smallholder farmers, but also support the most vulnerable communities to graduate out of poverty. And we are leveraging on these models, such as the well-known village saving and loan associations, the farmer field and business schools, the climate vulnerability and capacity assessment tools, to enable the market-based agricultural productivity and diversification. And we are also trying to work with other partners to unlock access to finance, which is very key. And here we are engaging the demand and supply sides across different ecosystems. So, and this has really worked. We use an adaptive programming informed by the learning, ensure that We are also addressing some of the systemic issues, including working with the government to ensure that agricultural MSC policies and social norms and environment are responsible, inclusive, and informed by these trends. And here we have very interesting models, including our gender transformative approaches that address the harmful gender and social norms, and also the community scorecard, which is also helping our program participants to hold accountable different duty bearers and service providers. So briefly, I would say that if you will look at these trends and look at the global, continental, and national directions, we need to reinvent continuously and ensure that we are not leaving anyone behind, and also ensure a very strong coordination and collaboration among partners, as well as ensuring that we are also addressing some of the systemic changes. So that's briefly what I can talk about for now. Over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascal. I like what you said about interventions to address the systemic issues. So usually there's always an underlying issue with some of the issues that we see and the challenges that entrepreneurs face getting into the market, being profitable in the market. So we'd like to ask Soha, you do a lot of work with startups, agribusinesses. I want to know, as an innovation expert, what are some of the ways, we can apply or implement technology and innovation, to leverage and enhance the agricultural value chain? We heard from the last conversations that we've had that technology is playing a great role, closing out the gaps that we have in finding markets for food, in the supply chain, and in all that. So what sort of technology and innovations have you deployed to some of your startups, or are you really implementing, or have you developed in your experience as an innovation expert in Accelera? Soha.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth, and hello everyone. Thank you for having me with you today. It's a very interesting talk. Before starting with this examples of what technology can do actually, regardless of what was implemented already, to open the perspective for entrepreneurs beyond what is happening now, I would like to start by saying that any technological solution should look at two aspects, and I'm now stating the obvious somehow. So two aspects are very important now, where we need to use technology to be able to overcome. We can keep on working on the agricultural activities the same way we do all the time. But are we helping in overcoming food security or food insecurity actually, and climate change? These two aspects are very, very essential to put in front of us whenever we talk about technology. Can you hear me? Well? Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I clear, or you can't hear me?
Okay, it's like we lost you for a...
Okay, did everyone lost me, or?
For me, I
I think we can hear you now.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying is that we need to look at these two aspects whenever we are developing any technology or innovation in the food sector or agri-food sector, which are the food security and the climate change. Specifically in the food security, I look at the accessibility for food. So you were just mentioning, Ruth, the presence of food, the accessibility, physical and economical, the availability as well of food, like being present and produced, and finally the utilization which has the nutrition and the food safety aspects. And from the climate change perspective, we are looking at mitigation and adaptation as well, especially in this like growing trend of having drought and climate change aspects, floods, accidents, and so on. So when we look at these aspects in technology, we see how much potential we have. And unfortunately, technology came to the agricultural and food sector like relatively recently in the whole world, not only in Africa, but in the whole world, the technological development so interest in the agri-food sector a bit late. So here the potential is great because technology can be precision agriculture and IoT that can help in having more efficient use of resources and better yield and production on the ground. So here, technology can be used for smart irrigation, smart fertigation, IoT solution to prevent or detect any kind of pest, potential pest, floods, change in the climate, etc. Another aspect is, and here we can see in Central Africa specifically, but in Africa in general, like a big majority of farmers are smallholder farmers. So here the technology is very essential when we talk about supply chain, as you mentioned, Ruth. How we can aggregate supply, how we can aggregate input supply, how we can use technology to open markets, e-commerce, link the farmer to the market directly and use the last mile approach if you want. Also, climate smart technologies and solutions are essential to be developed and deployed to be able also to overcome, because the farmers in general in Central Africa are very vulnerable and very, they don't have any resilience towards climate change. One wave of drought can kill a whole season of a crop, of a specific crop that they rely on for their livelihood. So we are talking about food security, but livelihood as well. And this is at agricultural level, but the discussion can go on also to the food. We talk about food tech solutions, traceability, food safety, nutritive, the development of new products that are based on local ingredients that use food tech to improve the nutrition of food, improve what people can access in different areas, and how they can balance their nutrition, because again, we are talking about malnutrition, we are talking about the utilization in the food security. And finally, definitely biotech. The biotechnology is one sector that needs a lot of research, but is very essential to improve breeds, improve genetical profiles of crops, of animals, improve the feed for animals, in the processing using auxiliary of processing and so on. All these examples of technologies, I would say, are a potential for Central Africa. And actually what we did is like Acelera has few encounters with ag tech solutions, but seeing the trends and the importance of this sector, seeing the appetite of investment and push and growth in this sector, we decided to venture into Acelera Agro. We decided to create Acelera Agro to be the support system for the entrepreneurs, for the people who are driving innovation, for the people who are creating and deploying solutions. Really, we see the potential. Really, we are looking for entrepreneurs everywhere to expand their technological aspects and really create solutions for problems that are technically there. We all know about them, but it can be definitely solved through technology, and it can start with very frugal solutions, very low-end technologies, and go beyond and go for high-tech solutions. So the spectrum is very wide, and the potential is very big. So yeah, that's it. Over.
Thank you very much. So I was looking at the chat section and someone was asking, what is the pathway for growth? And from all you've said, you've talked about the opportunities, especially in technology that has two prongs. And this is the first time I'm actually getting those two broad categories where we talk about food security and then the climate change category of technology coming into agriculture. And also something you said that is worth noting is that innovation and technology just recently came into the agri sector, maybe because of the demographic that is found in that sector. So we've heard some speakers talk about the opportunities in bringing in more younger generation people into that sector, because right now there's innovation. So it's attractive to them because the practices are something they can identify with, something they resonate with. And so it's easier for them to come in now. And so we can see that growth. And with more younger demographics coming in and technology making practices easier and closing all the gaps we have in all the areas of the value chain, which we recently learned is turning into a value web. So we'll talk a bit about that concept, where the agricultural ecosystem is turning into a web where there are many factors coming in. It's not necessarily in that line by line value chain, but people can impact the whole ecosystem from wherever they are. So different factors are feeding into making, growing the sector and ensuring that profitability is improved on without the impacts on the environment, which is something we've also talked about, how to increase profitability without an impact on the environment, which removes the sustainability from the equation. So thank you very much for your insights, Soha. I'm not sure if Felix Berto is in yet, but we're hoping he can join us. But while we wait for him to join us, I also want to ask Pascal, I think you were the one who dropped the comment as per the profitable pathway for growth. Are there some pathways you identify? Are there some clear pathways we can describe to the entrepreneurs on this call now, who are listening in, who are trying to see where they have a part to play in this whole ecosystem, how they can contribute to open up those pathways? Do you have a comment on that regard, so that people can understand their part to play in creating those pathways wherever they are and in whatever level they are functioning? Pascal.
Thank you so much. That's a great question. And one of the pathways that I wanted to highlight is the use of technology. And my colleague has talked about it. I would like to emphasize on the youth engagement aspect, because when we are talking about the youth, we have different categories of youth. And by categories, I mean we have some rural and urban youth. We have male, female. We have educated, non-educated. We have youth refugees, young refugees. We have people with disabilities. We have youth in different age categories, and these categories have different needs. So if you want to really be specific in terms of pathways, it's very important to also understand different dynamics. For example, in one of our projects, we are targeting young people, low-income earners, between 18 and 30 or 35 years of age, and mostly rural with low education level. So if you are targeting this segment of young people, you first need to study and understand different needs, specific needs, and work with them, co-design with them. Because we should not think about something for the young people without them. So we've been co-creating with them, and also understanding different opportunities and challenges in their respective areas, and that can easily inform what we focus on. For example, in Rwanda, in one of our programs, we are working with 100,000 young people from 10 different districts. But what came out of this co-creation was that the pathways in a district A may differ from the pathways from district B, depending on the findings. In some areas, we are investing heavily in climate smart agriculture, because those areas have been affected by climate related risks. That's why we are investing in farming in greenhouses, the small scale irrigation kits, and many other aspects. And again, on specific value chains, depending on the potential for creating dignified and fulfilling work opportunities in that area. So for me, I think the most important part, and I've responded to one colleague in the chat box, was asking the types of value chains that we can advise. And my thought is that these smallholder farmers we are talking about have different needs and can identify different opportunities in their respective areas. So it's very good to invest in understanding the market dynamics and also understanding demographics for these people we are talking about. And yeah, that's briefly what I can talk about. Otherwise, we are investing in a number of aspects. Even if we talk about value chains, we are in some cases we are investing in Chile, because that's where they can see some opportunities. Others, we are investing in supporting investment in tomato, poultry, fresh beans. So it depends really. It depends on the needs and the specific challenges to address. Also, the market potential for different business models. Over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascal. It's interesting what you said about the need determining the intervention. It's really what we need to highlight, because there are cookie cutter interventions that cut across, but for some regions, something can work that might not work in another region. So the needs, the particular dynamics of the particular region or the community or the country will determine the kind of interventions. Right now, I want to go back to Soha. Someone dropped in the chat box, how do smallholder farmers access technology? Because when we talk about technology, when we talk about innovation, it just looks like something that is far-fetched, something that people can't access easily. Yes, we know there's a lot of development, there's a lot of advancements in technology now, and it's really, really accessible for a lot of people easily. However, there are still a lot of people that don't have access to this and don't know how they can access this. So what would you say to some of the farmers here or the entrepreneurs here, or for them to understand, or smallholder farmers, if there are some among the participants, how would smallholder farmer somewhere in Central Africa gain access to such technology that's seen, or even finances to incur or acquire those technologies? What sort of solutions can you give them practically?
Yeah, actually, this is what I hinted on at the end of my last intervention, that the solutions that should be developed around the world, not only in Africa, but around the world for farmers, should be as user-friendly as possible. So when we talk about technology, we are not talking about like a technology that NASA is using, or the top hospitals in the world are using. When we talk about technology, the technology can be as easy as a very simple irrigation system with sensors that can function depending on the humidity of the land and give the land exactly the quantity of water needed. It can be a solution as simple as, I don't know, a new variety of seeds that can be used to give a better yield in terms of cultivation. So technology is not just really the kind of technology we would think about when we think AI and robotics and so on. It can involve this, definitely. It should at some point involve this. But for now, what we can think about is the user experience that we work a lot with startups on, to be as simple as possible and as accessible by the farmers as possible. Now, when we talk about financing, and accessing finance, most of the times the informality of the agricultural sector imposes some limitation in accessing finance. Also, my colleague talked about women inclusion, and here the accessibility to finance is even more challenging. So technology and innovation here can help in this kind of access through, we are seeing some trends in platforms that give access to farmers to crowdfunding, for example. And this is one way of accessing finances and having this kind of access with not much of restrictions and collaterals and so on. Startups to develop some kind of de-risking for the sector and risk management for the agricultural sector with credit lines and credit products can be another way to help the farmers access finance. So again, here we are talking about technology, but we are talking about solving a problem. And this is one way or one pathway of profitability and growth, which is really tackling the real bleeding necks, what we call the bleeding necks in the entrepreneurship world, and solving it and giving solutions to it. So that's it, over.
Thank you very much, Soha.
Can I add something if you don't mind? Yes, Ruth, I wanted to add something, if I may.
Sorry, I was muted. I was saying thank you. You can.
Okay, yeah. When we talk about financing solutions, and I see Lily, that's coming out frequently, even the chat box. There's a collègue saying le problème majeur de l'agriculture en Afrique centrale, c'est le financement et la technologie. So talking about access to finance is very crucial. As I mentioned, one of the key problems or bottlenecks is the limited access to finance. And here, if I may share some of our experiences, we've been working on both demand and supply side to see how we can work with all the players across the financial sector ecosystem to ensure that these smallholder farmers, especially women and young people, can have access to affordable, appropriate, and agricultural financing products or services. And here, if you don't work with both sides and try to work with the supply side so they can understand the business case of investing in these businesses we are talking about, you'll always find this segment of the population lagging behind. If we are talking about youth in agriculture, these are they have specific challenges such as lack of the physical collateral. They can't have access to land. And if we are talking about predominantly female young, these ones have other additional issues embedded in the patriarchal systems. And here we're talking about harmful gender and social norms, whereby they don't have even control over these productive resources. In some countries, they have the right to the land titles. A husband owns 50%, a wife owns 50%. When it comes to decision making on how to use this piece of land, that's where the problem becomes very serious. So this land cannot be used as a collateral, and this land cannot be used by this young female or even old female for any agricultural activities without the consent of the husband. So that's why we emphasized on also thinking about addressing harmful gender and social norms and engaging power holders so that they can also understand why we need to challenge these norms. So we've been working with different partners to co-design some products, and it's a long journey, but so far we are seeing some of the financial institutions or financial service providers designing and delivering some of the products that are really appropriate to these people. So I wanted to emphasize the need to engage all the players across the ecosystem, and also addressing root causes that are behind this limited access to finance. So some of the root causes are embedded in the policies or embedded in the gender and social norms in the communities. So that's what I wanted to add on Soha, on what Soha has clearly explained. Over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascal, for that addition. It's important to co-create interventions and solutions, because most times when we do it without engaging the players, it's usually not as effective as it's supposed to be. And at this juncture, I just want to say that some of these questions and the concerns that have come in on our chat section, actually, as Africa Food Changemakers, these are some of the solutions and these are some of the interventions that we have come together as an organization to help fight. So our community is made up of all sorts of entrepreneurs all around Africa. And so that interchange of ideas is encouraged within our community so that people can actually discuss and find the ideas they can use to overcome this, and then even create coalitions if need be, because our community is an open community. We have the resources that we share centrally, and most of a bulk of the resources we share, that's the information and the data and the opportunities we share, are around funding, because these opportunities are available for agribusinesses to access, but many times they don't have the information and it's also shared. Another challenge they might have is that they get these opportunities, but they are not, capable of leveraging them. And so within the community, we find ways to help them scale up. or we find ways to aggregate some agribusinesses together and access whatever funds as a group or as, small groups, so that those gaps or those challenges, somehow or the other, we encourage ourselves to find solutions, co-create solutions, do everything, be resilient enough to not dwell on the challenges, but find ways, find pathways, like we said, find pathways to get out of the current situation to the place where we want to be, which is the place of having successful, sustainable businesses and overcoming all our challenges. We also have a BRACE program, because I know climate impact is something that has come up. I've seen the questions, I've seen the comments about how do we help these people to understand how their practices impact the environment and what can they do. So we have a BRACE program. We've talked about it earlier, and I just want to emphasize that we have a BRACE program that is open. And a very, very interesting thing is that our BRACE cohort for this year, we are giving it, it's also going to be deployed in French. So it's not just going to be an English program. We also have our French audience covered for it. So anybody around here, I'm sure we've dropped the links to those programs on our chat box. Please click the link if you're interested in getting building capacity or competence against the climate, understanding the issues of climate change and how to build new practices that can help you build resilience against the shocks. So we have a special program for that, and we're happy to announce to our participants that we're offering it in French this year. And so I am expecting that each of us will be clicking the link, sharing the link in our networks, so that a lot of people can join that program and increase their capacity to be resilient against those shocks. So right now we're trying to get Felisberto. I'm in contact with him, but he's not able to. He's somewhere in between two locations, and the network is not really helping out. I don't know how many more questions have come up. The question about the climate somebody asked earlier is what I answered, that we're able to, the interventions we've adopted to mitigate against climate change is the BRACE program. So we are using that BRACE program to equip a lot of agripreneurs on how to adopt new practices that can mitigate against the climate change. Someone also asked if we will share the keynotes and supporting resources used on this webinar. We're trying our best to also drop key takeaways and key points in French for our French-speaking audience. And also, if we have Portuguese audience, we're also doing our best to drop the key takeaways in our languages so we can be engaged and be carried along. Someone has asked about how to get access to technology and funding, and we've talked about that. So we have a community where where we have these things available, where these opportunities are being highlighted, where they're being shared. So we're encouraging everyone to sign up for these programs and bridge all the gaps in the areas that we have highlighted. Right now, because of time, we have to start wrapping up all this, but we would like our panelists to give us some closing remarks or closing statements on what you said, especially in the area of what agri-businesses or agripreneurs can do, wherever they are in the value chain. What can they do? What steps can they start taking from where they are to begin to address these issues, to begin to chart those pathways for profitability that is also sustainable? What would you advise them? The audience is here, and then there'll be an expanded audience that are going to watch this video on our channels. So what would you say to that entrepreneur who is seeking to, who is looking for the pathways of profitability? How will you encourage them to take the steps to chart those pathways or begin to collaborate to open up pathways for profitability? Pascal and Soha. So maybe ladies first, so Soha, then Pascal.
Well, I would say we were talking about a lot of challenges, what I would like to call more opportunities. So identify the problem, the challenge you are trying to solve, ideate around it, be innovative, see how you can use technology, and then test and develop and test your solution until you can create a great solution for your user, for the ecosystem, for the whole food system, and for the whole continent. So this could be a conclusion of what entrepreneurship should look like. I would say at the end, if you allow me also, Ruth, very quickly, that we shared with you, you mentioned the kind of web. So we are aligned with you on the vision of like looking at it as a market system development, not as a linear development. And here as Acelera Agro, we are here to support these entrepreneurs. We are not only focusing on innovation and on acceleration and incubation of innovations, but we are looking at it holistically in our vision, from students upskilling and engagement of youth, TVET support, work on research and IP valorization and commercialization of research, venture building, hub testing. We have a farm in Hawaii that is made for entrepreneurs to test their solutions and work on it. So we have to look at it from all angles. We have to look at this as a system, not as a punctual interventions that we can do, because if we don't engage youth, they will not be interested in the agricultural sector. If they are not interested, they will not create innovation and technology. If they don't do, the farmer will not make better yield and more products. If we don't take these products and innovate in the food tech, we will not like valorize on it and add value, and the cycle will continue this way, and we will be stuck in the food insecurity and the vulnerability for climate change. So we need all of this. Acelera Agro is here to support all of this, and we are totally open for more discussions and connections. Thank you very much for having us with you as well.
Thank you, Soha. Pascal, closing remarks.
Thank you so much. This is a very great conversation, and it was a great pleasure being with you all. And what I can tell the young people, especially young Africans in our different regions, is that you can do everything. There is no limit. Just think big or dream big, work on your dreams, leverage all opportunities. This continent is full of opportunities. We have, as I mentioned, the political will. All our governments are willing to support. We have different investments that we can leverage on, including investment in ICT. And this continent is full of potential. We have land, and we just need, as young people, we just need to move from this thinking of we can't do it, and start asking ourselves how we can do it. So, and we should also see any challenge as a business opportunity. As my colleague has mentioned, let's try to find solutions to the most pressing issues, and then have this entrepreneurial mindset, and the whole ecosystem players are ready and willing to support, and together we can do it. We can make it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascal and Soha. It was really interesting discussing with you all the solutions, all the opportunities you've shared. I'm sure it was very insightful for our in-house audience and those that will be listening to us after today. Thank you very much. We appreciate you for your time. We appreciate you for your thoughts. I'll be handing over, I'm supposed to be handing over to our moderator, but I'd like to hand over to one of our beneficiaries of our program who I can see on the among the participants. Dorothy, she has raised her hand, and we also want to hear from her some of the ideas she has, and then clipping in a testimonials, after which she would Odunaya will take over as our moderator. So thank you very much, panelists. And our keynote speaker, who was supposed to join us back, I hear he was supposed to come back in. I'm not sure if he's back here yet, but thank you, Jose. Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Soha. We'll hear from Dorothy now, and then Odunaya will take over. Thank you. Dorothy, you have to unmute her. I think Dorothy needs to be unmuted. She's ready to speak.
Okay, I'm very sorry. We have a lot of problem of connection.
That's okay, Dorothy.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, can I speak in French, please? I am a French speaker.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. Je suis Dorothée Mbondonganti. Je suis Leading African Women in Food Fellowship 2023. J'ai eu la chance de participer à ce programme qui nous a beaucoup aidé. Déjà, je suis camerounaise, je viens du Cameroun. Je suis cofondatrice et COO de l'entreprise Agrixtech. Agrixtech, c'est une entreprise basée au Cameroun qui aide les agriculteurs, les petits agriculteurs, à obtenir des financements, des microcrédits ainsi que la technologie. Donc, nous avons développé des plateformes numériques ainsi que des applications mobiles qui permettent aux agriculteurs de mettre sur pied les systèmes de production durable, de détecter les maladies et également, on leur donne accès au marché. Donc, les plateformes sont connectées entre elles, c'est la technologie. Les microfinances utilisent également cette plateforme pour pouvoir étudier les risques agricoles et techniques liés à nos agriculteurs. Déjà, je voudrais préciser que avant de commencer le programme Leading African Women in Food Fellowship, autant pour moi, les seuls clients que nous avions, c'était les agriculteurs. Mais grâce au programme qu'on a suivi, on s'est rendu compte que même les microfinances pouvaient être nos clients parce que c'est nous qui avons développé notre plateforme. C'est cette plateforme-là qui leur permet d'étudier les risques techniques et financiers des projets agricoles des agriculteurs. Donc, voilà ce qu'on fait. Maintenant, en ce qui concerne l'Afrique centrale, il y a même de la technologie. Par exemple, voilà des solutions technologiques que nous avons développées. Nous avons une application mobile qui détecte les maladies des plantes, qui n'a pas besoin de fonctionner avec la connexion Internet. Il suffit de télécharger l'application sur Play Store, tu peux le faire. On a les applications mobiles web qui sont en train d'utiliser par les banquiers, par les microfinances. On a des applications mobiles aussi que les agents de terrain et que les agriculteurs peuvent utiliser. On a un problème de vulgarisation, on a un problème de financement et le problème de technologie reste également réel en Afrique centrale. Donc, je passe par ma voix pour dire merci à AFC pour ce qu'ils font pour l'agriculture en Afrique. Je pense qu'ensemble, avec ce que fait déjà AFC et ses partenaires, ensemble, nous pouvons lutter contre l'insécurité alimentaire en Afrique si nous nous mettons ensemble. Parce que si on regarde l'Afrique de l'Ouest, l'Afrique de l'Est, l'Afrique du Nord, quand on y va, ils sont plus développés et les investisseurs sont plus aptes à investir là-bas. Alors qu'en Afrique centrale, on a ce blocus-là, les financements. On a un problème d'investissement en Afrique centrale. Donc, si on peut nous aider, il y a la technologie, il y a les terres arables, beaucoup de terres arables même déjà en Afrique centrale. Mais on a encore ce problème de financement parce qu'on ne peut pas faire l'agriculture sans argent. Merci. Et je profite encore pour dire merci à Leading in African Women in Food Fellowship pour l'opportunité qu'ils nous ont donnée. Et nous comptons également donner cette opportunité-là à d'autres femmes africaines parce qu'actuellement, ils sont en train de lancer l'édition 2024. Nous allons nominer plusieurs femmes qui font également dans l'agriculture en Afrique que nous connaissons. Merci, j'en ai terminé.
Merci, Dorothy. In the spirit of French speaking, right? Permit me to introduce myself also in French. Je suis Odunayo Omotosho. Je suis le programme lead at African Food Chain Maker. Je suis Nigérian et habité Abuja. Je parle English, le français et peu. I'm sure you understand what I tried to say there, right, for the French-speaking participants. Once again, thank you, Dorothy, for that remarks and feedbacks for our French participants. So right about now, we'll be going to our closing remarks as usual. Okay, our manager already did that. I will just tell you more about follow-up for African food trade makers. So I would encourage us to follow us on our social media. Your highlights from today's session, the insight you've gotten, you could post online, tag us at African Food Trade Makers. We'll be sure to repost and to make comments on your profile. And also share to your members in those regions. Like we mentioned, we're trying to accommodate our French-speaking agripreneurs in our community. So we are trying to incorporate all of these French programs for you so that you won't be left out in subsequent programs. As our normal tradition, we would ask that you all put on your video for us to take our of this course. So please, would love to see your face, put on your video, put on a beautiful smile. Dorothy, everyone, Pascal, our panelists, please, we would love to see your face. And then my colleague in the call will take our snapshots, which we'll be sharing on our LinkedIn profile. So I'm not seeing our faces yet. Okay. All right, so I can see Lorenzo. Thank you, Lorenzo. I can see Dorothy, Pascal. All right, I'm here to see some other persons. All right, please, let's smile to the camera. The fact that you're not seeing a physical camera, don't worry. We have AI technology camera doing the work correctly. So, all right. Team members, are we good to go? Okay. Oh, I love that smile. Kai. Right. Thank you for that beautiful smile. That reminds me of Kai as an acronym in Nigeria, kick against indiscipline. All right. Thank you, Dr. Terence, for waving your hands. Okay, I think we're done with the camera now. Thank you very much once again to everyone. It was nice having us on this call this evening. Tomorrow, the train will be moving to North Africa for our webinar session, which we started on Monday. If you have the time, please, we'd love to also see you join us tomorrow for the session. It's going to be another insightful one. I'm sure you gained a lot today. And tomorrow also promises to be a lot more better and more engaging. Thank you once again. Merci beaucoup, everyone. Bonsoir. Pascal was saying something. Pascal, you saying something?
Bon, je disais merci beaucoup et bonne soirée et bonne chance à tous les entrepreneurs.
Merci à vous. Merci. Bye bye. Bonne soirée.
Bye bye, everyone. Bye. Bonne soirée.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.